Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 342 in my countdown to retirement. So today is part 3 of my bucket list trip planning. I spent virtually the whole day looking at trip insurance, flights, hotels, airport transfers. So for the insurance, I researched the following options today: Allianz Travel, Berkshire Hathaway Luxury Care, GeoBlue Medical Insurance, IMG, Seven Corners, Travelers, Travelex, Travel Guard, travelinsurance.com, which does comparative quotes for you, United Health, and MedJet. And MedJet, while it's not an insurance company, it is a membership company that provides you with medical transport anywhere in the world, back to a hospital of your choice in the States, for a flat fee. They have an annual plan. And so basically, you get up to 2 transports a year under this plan. And basically, you can decide what hospital you want to go to. It doesn't have to be signed off by the doctors. As long as you're stable enough to transport, they'll facilitate getting you, from point A to point B for your care. And the only caveat is you have to be more than 150 miles away from home. So if you're in the States, for argument's sake, let's say you were, I don't know, going to a national park somewhere in the U.S. and you got hurt and you needed to be taken to a hospital, they would fly you to whatever hospital you want, so long as that national park was more than 150 miles from home. If you're out of the country, by default, it's going to be more than 150 miles. So again, they'll fly you where you need to. So to me, adding that seems like a no-brainer. I looked at the cost for it, and the difference between like a single 21-day trip or a 30-day trip, or really anything longer than 15 days, and just getting an annual membership is a negligible difference in price. Like, I don't even think it was $50 difference for the entire year versus, covering a 15-day trip. So, for me, that seemed like a no-brainer. And then the real question for me is, do I then get trip protection, which also includes, taking you to a location, but usually it's the closest hospital that has the right stuff to treat you. You don't get to necessarily pick, but it covers, if something happens and you actually get reimbursed for the trip. Or do I only care about having the ability to be flown somewhere if I need it, and having medical insurance so that if I get ill or my wife gets ill overseas, we have up to a certain amount of money to cover that. And so, I've also compared annual cost against a single trip coverage. So, again, it doesn't seem like there's that much difference between if you think you're going to be on more than one trip in a year, between paying for a single trip to be covered versus an annual membership fee or an annual fee for healthcare coverage, or for that matter for multi-trip insurance protection. And for insurance, it seemed like it was pretty straightforward that as long as you were under 75, you could pretty much sign up for the insurance and get it. If you were 75 to 85, you had to go through kind of a special underwriting thing, which doesn't apply to my wife right at this point, but would apply to someone like my mother. And then if you're over 85, Forget about it. They're not offering you that insurance no matter what. So I just kind of thought that that was funny. Presumably, once you're over 85, you're in your no-go years, so you're not looking for that trip protection insurance anyway. But they're not offering even if you are. So right now, again, I'm trying to make the decision between MedJet and basic medical, or MedJet and trip protection. The problem with trip protection insurance, well, it's not really a problem, but you need to know the total cost of all of the components of the trip be in advance to be able to establish the dollar amount that they're going to cover for you. So that means if you have a flight, a cruise, a hotel, an excursion, transfers, taxis, parking, like all of that, all of those numbers, you need to know in advance so that you can come up with a dollar amount if you're doing it for a single trip. I looked at, I think it was Seven Corners, and they have an annual, or they have an annual thing where you can just pick a dollar amount up to $30,000. So it's like 2,500, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 that you can pick from, and it'll cover that amount of money across multiple trips. So if you never use it, fine. In trip one, it'll cover trip two or trip three. If you use it on trip one and then you go on trip two, whatever you used on trip one is going to be deducted on trip two. But that is available. And again, because I was trying to figure out the cost for excursions, I started looking at what excursions are available at each of the ports I'm going to be going into. And while I haven't, I did identify which things I want to go on, but I haven't identified the aggregate cost yet. That's on my to-do list for tomorrow. I did flush out the cost of the flights, the hotel for an arrival, the hotel for a potential stay if I decide that I don't want to fly back immediately after getting off the cruise ship in Reykjavik to go fly home. If I want to stay over a day, I did figure out what the cost would be for a night, near the airport, as well as the transfers from Heathrow to Southampton for the cruise, and from the cruise terminal in Reykjavik, Iceland, to the airport there, or to the hotel with a transfer on the way to the airport before leaving. So the net cost so far that I've worked through, and I'm sorry I'm going to look down, but I need to read these numbers to get them right. So the cruise is going to cost me $9,051.72. The gratuities are $440. The flights are going to be $24.44.22. The hotel on the night of arrival at Heathrow will be $223. The hotel on departure in Reykjavik will be $162.47. The transfer from Heathrow to the ship will be $196.01. The transfer from the ship to the Keflavik airport and hotel will be $143.44. And so the total cost so far, based on what I've planned out, is $12,660.86. And the additional cost that I still need to calculate will be the travel insurance based on which combination I pick, the excursions, and ultimately airport parking. So because it'll be, let's say 14 days or whatever, and at least where I live now in Atlanta, they've really jacked up the price of parking. It used to be like $9 a day. Now it's like $25 a day. So I need to figure out, how I'm going to handle the parking of the vehicle, or whether I'm going to, just decide that it'd be cheaper to take a shuttle to the airport and then have a shuttle bring me back to my house when we get back. So those numbers I still need to flush out, which again, going to try and do that tomorrow, because I need to make a deposit and decide that this is really the trip I want to go on by the 26th. So that really gives me tomorrow to flush out the final details, and I'll share them with you once I know. For those of you who responded to me on last night's video, certainly appreciate it. I happy to take feedback from you guys on anything that I'm doing, any suggestions um, to make this easier on myself, or leverage some knowledge that you guys have with regard to planning these type of trips that I don't have. But in any event, um, that's my update for today. Hope you have a great evening, and until tomorrow, take care.